2022 may have come and gone, but not without leaving some events, experiences, and developments that Nigerians can reflect and ponder on while planning for this new year. The year under review was, of course, full of political events and developments, ranging from the continuous voters registration exercise that took most part of the year to party conventions and primaries, through which candidates emerged for the forthcoming general elections. The ongoing political campaigns and issuance of permanent voters' cards to eligible Nigerians are also equally part of the major political events of 2022. Not forgetting the botched local government elections in Edo State, the PDP crisis and litigations that trailed the parallel primaries. The new Naira notes introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria to replace old denominations of 200, 500 and 1,000 Naira notes, and the limiting of cash withdrawals by corporate bodies and individuals also dominated political discussions in the year under review. On this special edition of Frontline, we will be reviewing major political events that defined 2022 and people's expectations in the new year 2023. And with me in the studio on this New Year Day is Andrew Omosifi, a lecturer in the Department of Political Science in the University of Benin, and of course, a public affairs analyst. Mr. Omosifi, you're welcome to Frontline.
Thanks for having me, and Happy New Year to you.
A very happy New Year. And so, generally speaking, how would you describe the year 2022?
Well, it has been a year full of drama, intrigues, highly political, not too good for the education sector because of the long, protracted ASU strike, 8 months. So many activities that shaped Nigeria's history also happened, in 2022. Not forgetting the ever constant and unending crisis with the Boko Haram insurgents and farmer headers clashes, bandits, increase in bandit activities, especially on the Kaduna axis, even the Kaduna train attacks, which was orchestrated by these bandits, wherein over 200 persons were kidnapped, and all of that. So the year 2022 was not a year that Nigerians can look back to and say it was a year of fulfillment, because don't forget that 2022 too, there were a lot of inflation, that led to the further weakening of the purchasing power of the ordinary Nigerian. And so you see that the celebrations of the Christmas and New Year wasn't as spectacular as it used to be, because so many families could not afford what ordinarily they could afford because of the high cost of food prices in the market. So when you look at it from the political dimension, you also, like you noted just now, that 2022 there were party primaries. Some of them still emerged in controversy, and the emergence of a third force in Labour Party and the Obedient Movement. So 2022, it's a year, but was a year that brought back a whole lot of hope. There was signaled hope at the beginning, but towards the end, the hope that was expressed at the beginning was totally dwarfed by economic crisis, political uncertainties, insecurity, so much hunger in the land, the ordinary Nigerian getting poorer, as a result of inflation, and several other things that occurred.
And so in your view, nothing good happened in 2022?
I would not say nothing good happened, because we are here seated, at least we are alive. That is good. But those of us in the education sector, for instance, we just rounded off um, what is a session where we had to get crash. You know, we had to rush up the students, compress the whole curriculum. Even at some point, just the way I was feeling pity for myself, I was also feeling pity for the students because it was very unusual. It was an unusual year for them. You know, having spent 8 months at home, resuming and you know, facing exams almost immediately. You know, so like I said, the education sector, you know, outside the economy, the education sector was the worst hit. And don't forget that today lecturers are still groaning over the non-payment of their salary arrears, you know, and that has also diminished, you know, that enthusiasm that comes with teaching.
Okay.
You know, because for them, teaching is it's a passion, but when they are not properly motivated, you cannot expect the best. And so that speaks to the fact that the education sector in Nigeria, you know, has suffered a huge setback. Don't forget even the Jackpot syndrome. 2022, it hit the roof because we had so many young Nigerians living, medical doctors, if you recall. There was this accusation by the federal government of the Saudi Arabia, you know, government sponsoring Nigerian doctors, you know, who were living in large numbers to Saudi Arabia. The United Kingdom witnessed a very large, you know, entrance of Nigerians into the United Kingdom. Some doctors, nurses, even lecturers.
In a nutshell,
yeah,
the country could have done better.
It could have been better, far better.
All right, so political speaking now, do you think that the country fared well in the area of politics?
Well, in the area of politics, I think the consciousness, you know, has been reawakened in the sense that many people lost hope, you know, going into 2023. People were disgruntled, you know, over the performance of let me use the word arguably, the performance of the present administration, because they felt that some of the promises that they made, you know, going into the 2011 and 2015 2015 and 2019 presidential elections were not met. And so the biting hardship and insecurity did not also help issues, because a lot of these things have put Nigerians on the edge. So the coming of the third force now has now renewed hope and increased competition in the political space, where you now see a lot of young Nigerians connecting with a certain political party, while you still find some others connecting with either APC or PDP. And so this 2023, with the 2023 elections, is going to be highly competitive. Just some days ago, dailies carried it that there is an increasing chance of a runoff in the presidential elections, as there may be no clear winner on the first ballot. So that speaks to the fact that there's this increasing consciousness amongst this side Nigerians. So 2022 actually revealed the fact that there can be a third force that can challenge the status quo. The primaries of the different political parties too, were full of drama. If you recall, you also understand the PDP issues, where Governor Nyesom Wike, till now, is still feeling aggrieved over the fact that he should have won the elections if not for the betrayal of his brother governors from the south. And so even when he lost, he still felt that he should have been given the vice presidential slot, and again he was overlooked in favor of Governor Okowa. And so all of these things, now the IU factor, accusing IU of collecting bribes and all of that in an attempt to favor Atiku Abubakar. And so because of that, Nyesom Wike is yet to get over all of that, and he has now said that this January he will reveal his preferred presidential candidate. So 2023 is also a year that is filled with a lot of drama. That, of course, as the days go by, we will see some of this drama unfold.
So, being a year that preceded the general election, as 2022 precedes this year where the general election will hold, do you think that year 2022 was well utilized by various political parties, stakeholders to prepare for the election?
Certainly. There were a lot of political calculations. For me, although many people will not agree, but I think the presidential candidate of the APC, understanding fully the intrigues, all right, and knowing too that the popularity of his party has diminished, he also needed to look for a way to bring himself back into the race. And don't forget that he wasn't also the preferred choice of the president and some other key stakeholders in the party. And so his emergence and twisted the party, or not the party now, some of the cabals that did not want him. And so the smartness arose from the Muslim ticket. And if you also look at the fact that Shetima, who is from the Northeast, with a high quantum of votes, it's for me, that was an interesting move. A move that has now not just brought him back into, the core of discourse, it has also made him the issue, the factor in this election, that we are going to see in 2023. So the political parties utilized, the year in re-establishing, repositioning themselves, for the main contest. The Labour Party, before 2022, nobody actually gave them a chance for any reason. In short, when they came in the beginning, I was even one of those that said, well, they will not because they don't have structure. But as the year progressed, we saw the increasing support that they gathered, most especially from the youths, which have also infected some of the elders, who now say, okay, we are going to choose the Labour Party. Even the PANDEF, Oneze Ndigbo, the Yoruba Sociocultural, or Fenifere, have all endorsed Peter Obi. So that speaks, to the fact that the Labour Party, also did their homework, in getting themselves into the mainstream of the contest. Atiku Abubakar on his own is not also resting, or did not rest, because we all saw the games he played, in the build-up to the primary elections and how he emerged the last minute, because he was going to be beaten, certainly in the primary elections, but for that last minute withdrawal by Tambuwa, that actually saved him. And so his own calculations paid off, in the build-up to the primary elections and even on the day of the primary election.
Okay, so INEC in particular carried out a lot of exercises and activities geared towards the election now. Are you impressed by the way INEC has been going about the preparation for the election?
Yes. I'm very, very impressed. I, for one, I see INEC, as a body that has rediscovered itself and has now, saying that yes, we are independent and we can sustain our independence by ourselves. It is not a situation where before now you find INEC bowing down to the whims and caprices of the government in power, where certain persons can just do with INEC whatever they feel. But this time, INEC has put his feet on the ground and has, demonstrated the fact that yes, they can run these elections. The introduction of the beavers was a groundbreaking innovation by INEC, because whether you like it or not, the BVAS itself is a game changer, because it will give more credibility to the elections and give that the Nigerians the hope and belief that we so desire. I like the way INEC has gone about, conducting the continuous voters registration and now the collection of the voters card. The only thing I think INEC needs to do now is to increase its level of sensitization.
Okay.
Because when you talk of political alienation, it's an holistic phenomenon where people are alienated from the electoral process, at every stage. And so, for our people not to be totally alienated, INEC need to now do more in terms of sensitization of the people, speak to them in the languages that they understand, do more, be more visible on the radio and television, commission agents, foot soldiers that can go around communities sensitizing people. It's not just enough to say we are on radio or we are on television.
Yes. After all, some people don't have power, some people don't have access to internet.
So since INEC have offices in every state of the federation, in every local government of the federation, I think this is now time for them to use the offices. Most of the INEC offices are always empty. If you go to their offices, especially local government offices, you hardly find people there. This is now the time for the job of INEC is not just to conduct election and announce the results. Sensitization is a core aspect of their mandate. So what they need to do now will be to commission agents to go from street to street, villages to villages, hamlets to hamlets, talking to people, letting people know what the do's and don'ts regarding elections and how the elections is going to be carried out. That is where, even if I like the idea of BVAS, sometimes I also have my doubts, because it's not every year that you have network. You understand? It's everywhere that you find network, mobile network that can help the BVAS to transmit, results to the INEC server. But be that as the INEC has said that there will be no manual transmission of results. So I'm sure in the build up to the elections, we will see adjustments and readjustments, as to the election program and the conduct of the election itself.
And so, what's your assessment? You talked briefly about that earlier, but let's assess the primaries now that saw candidates emerging. What's your assessment?
Well, the primaries of the two major political parties were highly dollarized. We saw a whole lot of dollars flying left, right, and center. Delegates being bribed as much as $2,500, $3,000. It was highly commercialized. Major political parties, were just like spending the cash. The money bags took over the whole exercise, and that led to their emergence as well. Yeah. In short, it was a case of the highest bidder.
And that was what the complaint of political observers, where they talked about it was this time the way we saw the issue we didn't have ballot snatching, but we had
vote buying. In short, I was coming there too. Vote buying in itself has become a canker worm, and I've not seen any genuine modalities that have been put in place by INEC or security agencies to stop vote buying. So whether BVAS or at the point of BVAS is when the man has been bribed to say vote for my party, and once the man has collected, he goes there, does his accreditation through BVAS, votes for the party that he has been induced to vote for, and he goes his way. So vote buying, you could see it in the primaries. It was so glaring that not even the security agencies could do anything about it. Even when the EFCC moved into one of the political parties' primaries venue to see how they could arrest, what was the outcome? So it was a situation where it was an open display of how politicians view the voters, how they view Nigerians, and their mentality as per we can win these elections whether we are popular or not, as far as we have the cash to dole out.
Okay, so now let's come back to Edo State now. How would you describe politics in Edo State in 2022?
Well, politics of Edo State is not isolated from politics at the federal level. It is still the same issues, but the only difference here is the fact that I think the PDP, I'm safe to mention political party here, the PDP, as we speak now, have not been able to put their hearts in order. They are still fighting, they're still infighting over who the authentic candidates of the party would be.
Yeah.
There are some that are loyal to the governor, there are some that are loyal to the deputy national chairman, South, of the party. And so this fight for supremacy, has now put the party at a disadvantage, as to, their performance in the elections. The APC is more at peace with itself because I feel they have learned from the mistakes of the past, because their primaries were a lot better, no faction, they are going about their campaigns, unlike the PDP where you do not actually know who the authentic candidate is. Some are not even campaigning because they don't even know their fate. So I think somebody was telling me yesterday or day before that between now and the next 2 weeks the Supreme Court will give their verdict as to who the authentic candidate of the PDP.
All right.
But again, we do not know if by the time the judgment comes, if it will be too late, and if there will be the follow-up litigation from the opposition party. Because I was also discussing with somebody else at that time, and they told me that the opposition is also waiting for the judgment for them to now know how to further proceed. So the crisis in PDP is something that has greatly divided the party and has put them at a disadvantage.
In Edo State now.
Now, yes, even the Labour Party is also waxing very stronger, especially in the metropolitan local government areas of Oredo, Obaka, and Lagos, and in some other local governments, especially in Edo Central, where Julius Abure, their national chairman, is from. So it is going to be very interesting to going into the 2023 elections, and let us see how far these parties can be able to muster enough votes, to clinch the ultimate prize. We will not be having governorship elections in 2023, but next year, 2024. And so whatever happens in this election will decide
what comes up, what happens in 2024.
In 2024. So those states' situation is peculiar because it is going to, set the stage for who becomes or which party takes the mantle of leadership in 2024.
So let's leave politics now. Let's go to our redesigned Naira note, which also dominated discussions recently. Do you still believe that it was a wise decision?
Well, for me, the last time I was here, I think that was part of what we discussed, the Naira redesign. And for me, the move by the central bank to redesign the Naira was very smart. This is a country where you have a whole lot of poor people, yet you have a few people keeping or stashing billions of naira and dollars in their homes. It was in 2022 that we saw videos of the rusted naira notes, in people's houses. Whereas the next door neighbor is hungry, but you have billions of naira notes in your house that are now decayed and all of that. And so the Central Bank of Nigeria, made that move in an attempt to get more cash into the banking vault than in the houses, and it paid off because most of these politicians who did not have the luxury of time, and don't forget that the credit limit was also reduced to I think 5 billion, and so if you have billions of naira in your home and you are paying 5 billion every day into you may not be able to even still pay all the monies into your account. So the redesigned naira note was a very smart move. But the only part I did not accept or agree with was the withdrawal limit,
Okay.
where they said 20,000 naira per day. And I asked a colleague of mine in school that, come, you all are jubilating, but do you know a village called Agatu? He said, where is that? He said, it's in Benue State. There's far villages where you have to cross like 2-3 rivers before you access the village. And that village is known for high production of yam, high quantum of yam production. People go from here to patronize them. And so the woman in Agatu, first of all, Agatu does not even have a bank. There's no network, no mobile network that you can rely on to make calls, except you climb a tree, top of a tree, to access mobile network. And so, okay, if you are now saying this woman you cannot trade in high volume of cash, how is she going to do her business? How is she going to survive?
Well, I'm sure that will encourage the banking sector
to move into that village.
To spread out. Yes, that's my take. Okay. That will encourage.
Okay.
So finally, what's your projection now for the year, for this new year? What's your projection?
Well, I see a year of hope. I see a year of progress for Nigerians, because the truth is, no matter who emerges, no matter the candidate that emerges, I think they will perform better than what we have now. That is my thinking, that's my expectation. So I see a better year, a year of hope, a year of prosperity for Nigerians. I see a year of elections, of peaceful elections. A year where Nigeria will successfully, where Buhari will successfully hand over to, another president, an election that will usher in hope for Nigerians. For me, I think, even in terms of inflation, the economy, I think Nigeria will be better
in this new year.
2023.
Thank you very much, Andrew Omosefe, a lecturer in the Department of Political Science in the University of Benin, for joining us here to discuss to review the outgone year and of course project for the new year.
Thank you so much.
And so that's how it has been on the first edition of the year on Frontline. Thank you very much for watching. Please keep it with us next time for another exciting topic. I say bye-bye.